Man, oh man, do I love our new intro. It just gets me jazzed up every time I hear it. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. That means it's the day before New Comic Book Day. It means that we are all of us getting ready for the week's books. And it also means that we're also thinking about what is the week ahead of us? How are we planning for this? And man, I don't know if you're like me, you spend this time in the first part of the week thinking, what am I posting? What am I advertising? It's funny you should ask that because man, do we have some legends coming on today to kind of help you give some direction on how your business should be running, how things should be looking for you in this year of turmoil and the changing environment of marketing. It's going to be a fantastic show. For hopefully many of you are going to be seeing us for the first time. Welcome to the show. If you do see us, would love to see you in the chat. Would love to hear where you're listening to us from. Right now, we are up on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, couple different channels. So we are anywhere you can tell us where you're watching from and what you're doing today. Are you calling us from a shop? Are you calling us from the office? Are you calling us from the road, watching us from the road? Who knows? All right. I'm going to bring in a few folks here. This is the pre-show chatter, banter, conversation. It's an opportunity for us to kind of loosen up and get ready for what's going to be a really big show. My co-host on this show is a man who is actually mostly prepared for this week, I think. So, no? Oh, he's shaking his head. Well, we're still going to bring him on. And say hi to Brian Garside.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Doing all right.
This is a week. This is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun. It's been a really good time putting this one together. I'm really excited about this. We got Mark Schaefer, marketing legend.
Yeah.
And Gary V. The guy doesn't even have to use his whole last name anymore. He just goes by the initial. Anyway, it's incredible.
I told my son what I was doing today, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." Wait, did you just say Gary V? And I was like, "Yeah, Gary V, like Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah, you're having him on your podcast. Yeah, huh."
Became a big deal. That's something. I like that. I like that happens for you.
It was great.
We've got a couple guests, one of whom I actually might have to jump. There are in our regulars in our pre-show banter, and these are the people that I talk to every single day, including this man who I mentioned, by the way, I found out in our last podcast, I mentioned how much I loved working with Joe Keating and how much of a deadhead he is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was that revealed last episode?
It was in the Eli episode. If you watch it, Eli's like a huge like deadhead and fish fan.
Oh wow!
So,
Cool.
Yeah. He's also
Secret's
the publisher of Cosmic Lion, and man, one of the biggest nerds you and I have ever met, and that's saying a whole lot.
I was going to say saying something. There's a lot of competition.
A whole lot. How's your week been, buddy?
Oh, dude, it's been good. There's a lot going on. Some of it we can't talk about, but
I know
some of it we can. I mentioned this before, but Comics the Magazine and Rekka's deadlines have like synced up, like they're like the same week now.
Yeah,
it's like really cool, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so put in Gary Brown's issue of the future is Gary Brown of Wolverine and other titles drawing an issue for us.
Fantastic.
Sick. So excited about that.
Awesome. Well, we just had a huge guest drop into our green room. For huge guest, if you're hearing me, we are in the middle of our pre-show banter where we bring in some of our regulars and kind of get a feeling for what's going on. What's going on, Megan?
It's Tuesday. I'm excited to see what shows up in my pool this week. I'm waiting for my email.
Well, that's right. Where's your pool at?
Beyond Comics in Gaithersburg, and I also have one with Midtown Online because that's where I
just in case
a variant hunt, and in case something. I had a prior shop I went to that wasn't good at ordering the indie books. So this was my guaranteed. Midtown's gonna get me my indies, but now
Joe, when I was talking about the nerdiest person, I think we have a new one. We have a
person wearing the Rekka shirt with the spinner rack in the back.
Yeah, right.
I got one of those.
And
Yeah, I think
There
you
was-
got one of those too. Yeah.
There were
Work,
never
Matt.
any indications that Megan was a nerd.
Never. There was never an
Never.
indication I might be a nerd.
Excellent. Let's also bring this week's our producer, the man who's helping us keep it on everything on track. We're gonna tax him too much, but I want to bring Trevor to the stage.
Hey guys.
Hey buddy.
See everybody.
Are we all ready for this show? Is this one gonna be a good one?
I'm excited
Yeah.
about this one. I gotta say, I gotta do something during the show, so I'm gonna go back and rewatch this one because you've got a banger lineup, dude. It's pretty exciting.
Thank you. I'm really, really excited about this one. And looks like our guest left the room, so we're not going to add him to the stage. All right, so this is usually a good time for us to talk about a headline that is not on the list of what we're talking about. And I will say that I'm really happy that somebody said, "Are you going to talk about this one thing?" And I said, "No, it's going to be resolved by the time we hit the show," and it resolved today. So there you go. We don't have to talk about a boycott. It's not a boycott anymore. I know.
Good deal.
I know. But what else is
You
going
were
on?
right.
Well, I have an update from last week.
Uh-huh.
For Django was talking about the new criminal book, and he was like, I think some of it might be from something else, but I don't know. Anyway, I have to confirm. First thing, I got it. It looks awesome. 5 gears in reverse. The first chapter they printed as like a one-shot thing, but the rest of it, this whole thing is like all new. And it's like
Sweet.
wall to wall. I mean, it's Brubaker Phillips. Speaking of Polis, I don't even know what I'm getting from them anymore. I just say I want everything, and it comes in. I don't read any previews, so I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Here it is.
Where do you shop, Joe?
I don't like to reveal where I live,
Oh yeah, okay, fine.
but
That's
a secret location.
That's fair.
Oh,
They treat me
God.
well. I only have to shop at one
Though.
store because they get everything. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm actually planning. I was going to do it tomorrow, but I'm starting next month. My plan is to start doing comics and magazine signings at new comic shops every month.
Good.
So if you're a comic shop, and don't believe me, the budgets are exactly as small as you might think they are. So if you're interested in bringing me in or bringing one of our crew in, we're happy to talk about it. But otherwise, if you're in the greater New York, Long Island area, hit me up. I'd love to add you to the list because we want to start, getting out there and meeting some fans that are buying this magazine. It's been so much fun to building. This new one, by the way, I'm excited, Joe.
Yeah,
I think-
that's a good one.
I think we got a heater coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, there's really good stuff. But talking with Mark Spears, editing that interview down was the longest interview I had conducted. Like usual interviews, I talked for like 20, 30 minutes. Mark and I talked for like 90 minutes, and it was awesome. And that guy, my hope is that people read it and just learn from that guy because I really just wanted to get into like, what was this road like to become an overnight success? Which of course, took like 30 years. And great guy. Some of the stuff in there we haven't announced yet. I'm not sure we're supposed to be talking about it, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, but new
That makes
Chew.
me.
I will say the new Chew has my favorite face Rob Guillory has ever drawn. I'll
I don't even think I've
I'll
seen
send it
this
to you,
one.
Adam.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one yet.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, Adam. It's yeah.
This is what I get as the
Yeah.
publisher, kids. We go to press next week, and I haven't seen it yet. This is exactly how much control I have over this. It's yeah, dude.
That-
I can't wait. The Mark Spears cover alone, I think, is just so strong.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a good one. I know we're gonna talk about this later on in the show. Actually, we
Yeah.
don't have to talk too much about the magazine.
That makes me so happy though, because like when finding out that a creator that is getting as much attention as he is right now is a good dude is just
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
it's so nice.
Yeah,
It's
he became one of my
so
favorite
refreshing.
people over the course of the conversation.
Oh, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
and he
Oh,
really
that's
did
fantastic.
become such a huge thing just because he loves comics. Like he
100%.
learned, when his time came, he was ready.
Yeah.
because he had been a student of the game.
Yeah.
Incredible when you follow that guy's rise.
Yeah.
It's really impressive. Megan, what's one story we didn't cover this week that you thought we should have? Because you run the bullet. So what is it? What do you think is the biggest story we're not dealing with?
I think it's just funny that Mike Richardson still owns the building that Dark Horse Comics is in.
Is it really?
And
Yep.
it looks like he's gonna open a museum there of his
Yeah.
own like pop cultural paraphernalia. and then start bringing in his sports stuff and movie stuff. And
wait, is he kicking him out? Is he evicting him?
It looks like he might be, but I think it's funny. They fired the.
I think it.
Publisher.
He does own most of Milwaukee, Oregon, from what I understand.
He does, yeah. The article I read, which could be a different one, said Dark Horse rents rooms in the upper levels, and he's not messing with that. The museum will be at the lower levels of the building, but who knows? It could be a precursor to a bigger move at some point.
It's just such a boss move to be like, all right, you'll still see me downstairs.
They really got to walk past him to go to work every day.
The entire Dark Horse exhibit were the last pieces, and then they died.
There's like a plaque of "This is where they fired me," like in the timeline of the hallway.
Just brings the chair downstairs, and this was my chair.
This was my chair. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I'm kind of impressed too.
It was such just a chef's kiss of. Okay, but I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
Was Mike rather, was he the last of the like single owner publishers that like he hasn't owned it in a while. What I mean is like, there have been a few of them where a single personality from 80s, 90s kind of came forward. And Dark Horse really was the one with the staying power, right? I mean
Ben Dunn, Antarctic.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It depends. I guess depends on what scale you're talking about. But yeah,
he's still adding. Yeah. I mean, there've been a lot of self-publishing single creators who have like bounced around to different publishers.
Right. Like, do you count cartoon books? You know what I mean? Like, it's
right.
Yeah.
Do you count Bone? Do you count Strangers in Paradise? Right. Yeah. I guess those are the real questions. And I guess, do you count Fantagraphics? Right. Fantagraphics has been around since then. There was 2 owners, but yeah, 100%.
All right, I got to bail the secret mission. You guys have a fun show.
All right. I know exactly what you're into, man. It's going to be a good one. All right. Bye. All right. Let's see. We've got 2 more minutes until we go absolutely live. I'm going to bring on our first guest. If it's okay with you, Mark, give me a quick wave if you're all right to come on for one quick question right before we go
2
live.
thumbs up, buddy.
All right. I'm not even going to give him the really hype intro right before. But I'm going to bring in Mark Schaefer, who is a marketing legend. When I say living legend, it's hard for me to understate the absolute power that he has in the marketing community and how we think about marketing. Mark, gosh, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. Seriously, it's so good to see you.
Well, I'm delighted. I mean, I just like basically, baseball cards and comic books were my childhood.
Yeah.
I just I got a comic. Oh, it's right up here. You probably can't see it, so it might be out of view. So I love the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And there was this weird comic in the 60s called the Metal Men.
Yeah. I love the Metal Men.
For Christmas, my son got me Metal Men #1.
That's awesome.
Oh, incredible. Did it get in decent condition?
It's great condition.
Excellent. Oh, I love it. Awesome. All right. We are actually, so I have to bring everybody down, and then Brian and I are going to talk some headlines, and then we're going to bring you on, and we're going to talk about your tips for what small businesses like comic shops and small press publishers can be doing today.
Sure.
And I can't wait to bring you back on to hear those stories. Awesome. Okay. All right. We're going to remove everybody. Bye, Megan. Bye, Trevor. See you at the end of the show. All right, Brian, let's do it. Friends and neighbors, welcome to the show. It's Comic Industry Insiders Live, a weekly conversation where we talk about the most important things that we can find that are happening in the comics industry. We try and give you some perspective on how to use them to grow your business, your career in comics. Also, we just like using it as an opportunity to get our friends together and just talk about the one thing that we all really love, which is comics and the comics industry around them. This week we have When I say a special episode, I mean we have absolute living legends on this week's show that are here to help you navigate the twists and turns of what running a business in 2026 is. And to do that with me, why I could not do this without him. Actually, I have done it without him, kind of think of it. But geez, I hate doing it without him. My partner, Brad Garside.
I love that. Well, I could. Well, I have. Oh man. You know what? This is the episode that I really, really wanted to be part of, to the point where like there was a thing that I had to do a couple of weeks ago, and we scheduled this one around that so that I wouldn't miss it. So yeah, I'm so excited.
Well, if you take a moment, let's get that first slide up. I know that we're not quite, looks like we're not quite ready to go there, but if we can,
yeah. You got it.
Listen, this when I introduced you, the first time I ever interviewed you on a regular podcast, I think I said you are a capital M marketer, because I always felt inferior as a lowercase m marketer, right? Yeah. And I will say that as I've grown into this role, I feel like I'm getting closer to a capital M marketer. I barely know how to use a CRM. Automations are way beyond me, but I'm figuring it out, you know? Yeah. So I will say that you have often been a resource for this as we've gotten to know each other and work together. But this week, man, I feel like no offense, but I feel like we have whatever all caps marketers.
Oh yeah. No, I'm so excited to sit at a learning tree and learn from people that I respect. And yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm so excited about this.
In a few minutes after we do our rundown, we're actually going to have Mark Schaefer, who has written, I don't know, dozen books on marketing and has really changed the way that very serious people think about a very serious subject. And we've got Gary Vaynerchuk. And when you talk about a legend, a living legend, you cannot leave him out. And the fact that he's now applying those lessons and those abilities and all of that leverage to our industry is going to be a game changer.
Yeah,
for us.
Absolutely.
So thrilled that he's going to be on the show.
This is exciting. And one of the reasons, like when we first bandied around what we would call this and everything, you had some really good reasonings behind Comics Marketing 101, because the 101 course is the foundational one. And this one is really talking about some of those foundational elements, especially like literally everything has changed in 2026. The games are all changing, even like search engine optimization does not mean today what it meant a year ago. And in fact, it's probably getting less and less important as we have things like AI and agentic commerce and all these things. And I'm so excited to hear our guests' viewpoints on that stuff as well.
Yeah, and even Mark wrote a book on how the companies that were the most human end up winning in that space. But in the same time, we also still need to understand what is happening. How is this progressing? 100%. What are the things that we need to understand in order to run a business? And man, boy, oh boy, it is. It's going to be a real challenge for all of us to figure this out. But the thing is, we're all on the same footing. So everybody's coming back to 101 is my point, right? Yeah. We all have to come back to what are the base principles? How do you build a business that is getting attention? How do you build a community that will show up to follow you and support you when you need them? How do you grow, right? And all of those things have changed so much this year, but they've changed for everyone. Yeah. And so it's good to take a step back and say, all right, what are the first principles? How can we begin to put our feet underneath us so we can start walking and then running again? So,
And sometimes in situations like this, like going back to the basics and the things that you thought didn't work last time, different context, it may be the thing that works this time. So this
happens for us a lot. At Prana, we are often like, oh yeah, you know what? We said no to that last year, but this year we have to, right? This year becomes a need to. It's not just I don't know, is it time? Like, oh, we're already behind, you know? So you really have to revisit those things. But before we get into that, let's do the rundown. So we're going to be doing things. Headlines. Obviously, we're going to talk about a couple of the biggest stories that are happening this week in the world of comics. And honestly, in the world of just media, frankly, both of our stories this week don't even have to do with the comic book industry specifically, but rather the side pieces of it that affect us and how they're going to continue to. Intro to marketing in 2026. Mark Schaefer, Gary Vaynerchuk. It's going to be big. You're going to want to take notes, and you're going to want to come back to this recording over and over again. We're going to do our quick cuts. We've got Comics the Magazine number 5 is up on FOC, and we've got a little video with Joe talking about why you want this one on your shelves. And finally, our Prana bestseller list, and we've got Sean from Comics Pals is going to be joining us again. Sean, I thought I saw you in the back room. Oh, is he there? All right.
He was there, yeah.
He's going to be there back up soon. Sean is always a good time in helping us look at one of the best sellers this week. And there's a couple of really hot ones on that top 10 list. So
yeah, it's a good week. Let's rush through our news.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's start out with PSA temporarily shutting down grading due to backlog. That's not great.
So PSA, for those of you who don't know, PSA is a company who will take your card, and they're moving more into comics now that we've actually lost one of the competitors in that space. And PSA is a grader, meaning they will take your trading card or your gaming card, and they will grade the condition of it. Then they put it into a slab, a plastic case that cannot be opened with the grade on it, right?
Yep.
And it works. It works pretty well, right? So we got CGC doing the comics. PSA is going to be moving into doing comics again, but they literally had to shut down the whole thing this last week. Why? Because there was a new Pokemon release. The number I heard, was it like 10 million, something like that? That they received in 1 week. They weren't designed to absorb that many grading jobs all at once. Can you imagine?
That's 10 million. That's crazy.
That's like the FedEx truck just like shows up as a semi. You're used to having the guy come up and go beep beep and it's Yeah.
I mean, and we want to talk about marketing and this kind of thing. This is a classic case of marketing where the value of a thing is exponentially more because a grader has guaranteed that it is that value. Yeah. And that's something we didn't have 20 years ago. You had to guess that the guy that was grading that was honest and that it was actually going to be the thing you had. So it's a fascinating industry, and the value on a 10.0 graded thing can be 10 100x it's crazy. You're right, way back then, like the reputation of the dealer, the reason that you would buy from a dealer as opposed to like a person, like the idea that you would buy a really hot comic on eBay from a person you've never met before, impossible. No way.
But graded, we can trust you. So obviously that's the very basics of grading. And as our new friend, who I don't know if we know who you are, but thanks so much for being on.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Yeah, Sane Comics, I think they're called.
Oh, right on. Excellent. Well, thanks for being in the chat. As they point out, like because they're already hitting their limit. You try sending them comics right now, and I can't imagine that. Logistically, I just don't think they could probably bring them on.
Am I misremembering this, or did PSA buy whichever grading company that Diamond had?
I believe they did. I think that's right. I think that is right. Yeah.
It's been a while since we've talked about the Ghost of Diamond, but...
And I know from behind the scenes, they're doing a whole lot of biz dev stuff. They're really doing a lot of partnerships. I've talked to about 3 different people who said they have meetings with them at San Diego, getting close to a deal on different things. So they're coming in hot into our space, but boy, oh boy, hopefully they can figure out the logistics.
Crazy.
That's going to be the tough part. All right.
The independent bookstore counts are up with the American Bookseller Association. Tell us a little bit about this, Adam.
Well, I don't have that story up because somebody.
Oh, you pulled it up before.
Did I? Oh man.
And then I put it away.
I don't have the actual numbers here, but the ABA is the American Booksellers Association dropped a report this week. Brian, if you could pull up those numbers, that'd be great. And essentially saying that we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of bookstores that are buying comics, or no, opening in 2026. Yeah, here we go. ICV2 had this report. And essentially they're saying of that, and this is crazy. When we talk about comic shops, we're usually talking about, on the high end, we're looking at about 4,800 or so. There were in 2025, the ABA census of independent book retailers showed that 605 new bookstore businesses were open in 2025, while only 65 closed. Of the 605,399. Oh, 605. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I thought that was a big number. Never mind. Of the 605, 399 were storefronts, 106 were pop-ups, 23 were online, and 77 were mobile. I think that probably comes through on the comic shops too. It feels like that's probably about what we're looking at. People are just opening different kinds of stuff, right?
Yep.
The ABA went up to 3,783 member locations. Yeah. So once again, comic shops and bookstores are really kind of neck and neck on the counts. I can't believe I completely biffed that 6-digit number earlier. But yeah, it's but we actually heard last week from Christina on our State of the Direct Market that we're seeing the same increase. I think actually, if you look, I'd be curious to know, we should do the percentages. I think the percentage increase is about the same from the bookstores and the comic shops. And I love the fact that spaces are opening, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because more spaces opening means more comics sold. It means more POS systems that need to be purchased. It means more people that get a new place to find their new favorite comic. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
excuse me a minute. I'm going to mute myself here so I can get this out of my throat.
No worries at all. Well, let's move right along to our main story.
Excellent.
So we decided a few weeks ago that we wanted to talk about comics marketing because it's one of those things that keeps on coming up. And it comes up because we see different stores, one, just like doing a phenomenal job of marketing, and we really wanted to celebrate those folks. And then you also see some stores that are struggling a little bit to kind of master the basics. And when you walk into the store, it's got that same look that it's had since the 90s. And there's, sometimes the same posters on the wall that there were in the 90s.
Yep.
And they are not really changing the tactics. But in 2026, those tactics are more and more important. So we thought this could be by no means is it a be-all, end-all, but it will definitely get people on the ground floor. And we wanted to bring in people smarter than us because my theory is if I'm ever the smartest person in a room, I'm in the wrong room. So, bring in some folks that are even better at this stuff than we are. So,
right. So let's begin, shall we, with the first of our two incredible guests. Our first guest today has spent 30 years figuring out why some brands become beloved institutions and others disappear. And the answer, he says, has nothing to do with your ad budget, though he has worked with some really major ad budgets. He's a Rutgers Business School faculty member, a keynote speaker who's taken the stage at South by Southwest and conferences around the world, the author of 11 books, including Marketing Rebellion, Known, and his newest, Audacious, How Humans Win in an AI Marketing World. He also ran this incredible marketing conference that I went to a few weeks ago called The Uprising that completely changed my worldview and, introduced me to a lot of fantastic people. He believes, and I agree, that the most human company wins. And I think anyone running a comic shop or putting out indie books knows exactly what that means. Friends and neighbors, please welcome to the program, Mr. Mark Schaefer. Mark, anybody want to push that button? There he is. Welcome to Comic Industry Insiders, my friends. Now that you just got a new one, I hear you're definitely one of us, right?
My heart is definitely with you guys. That's for sure. I mean, you just gotta love comics and comic book shops. I'll tell you a little story. When my son is grown now, but when he was a little boy, we went on a hike, and it was the fall in the Smoky Mountains, and I kept saying, "This is beautiful. Look how beautiful that is." Finally, he was like 10, 11 years old. He got fed up. He said, "Dad, you know what beautiful is? Walking into a comic book shop with $10 in my pocket."
Oh,
So I took him to a comic book shop, and I gave him $20 and let him get whatever he wanted. Most of our conversations back then were about the X-Men.
yeah, I have no doubt. So wait, he only needed 10 and you gave him 20. That's called parenting. That's what.
Yeah, that's called super beautiful. He wanted beautiful. I gave him. Yeah.
So talk to us about what is, before we get as Gary would say, before we get micro, let's get macro. You spend as much time as anybody in our world thinking about how marketing has changed and how it changes from year to year. What do you think is unique about this particular time in building a business and in trying to gain a new audience?
Well, I want to talk specifically about your type of businesses, like brick and mortar, small kind of family businesses, because I mean, there's marketing with a capital M. There's like Procter and Gamble, and I want to talk about ideas that are specific to you. And I heard you mention earlier, wow, SEO is big, and AI is changing everything, and yes and no. And I don't want to dismiss the idea of SEO or coming up as a referral as AI. But for most small businesses, including me, it's not really realistic to show up at the top of a lot of those search results, especially AI, where it's not a list of referrals, a list of links. It's like one answer. So I think we need to rely on something more. And I liked what you talked about earlier when you said, do we need to start looking at some of the business basics? And I think we do. And I've reflected on this a lot. Where do humans really play out in this world of AI and marketing? And I think there's 4 main pillars. And I just want to spend most of the time on the last one. And these are things that really small businesses are poised to win more than the big businesses. So, number 1, personal brand. You are the face of your business, right? And people may not love your logo, or they, may not love your Instagram feed, but they can love you as an owner, as a person who's showing up in the community. Who do you love at Amazon? Nobody. Who do you love at eBay? Nobody. But people in your community can know you and create an emotional connection to you. Number 1, experiences. I spoke at a conference 2 years ago, and they had their speakers dinner at a comic book shop. The comic book shop opened up their doors, and that we had a cocktail party in the comic book shop. What fun is that? And the owners were there, and we were able to talk about, it was like great. It was amazing, right? So how can you open up your space and create experiences? Number 3, transcendent content. And this is a big topic that I talk about in the book you mentioned, Audacious, How Humans Win in an AI Marketing World. 57% of all the content on the web right now is AI slop, right? It's a pandemic of dull. This isn't a challenge. It's an opportunity to really tell our stories. Talk about our excitement, show up as a real human being on our Instagram feeds. Don't just show the new, comics that you got in that week. That's important, but Talk to the customers, show the customers, have the customers tell you about, what they found and why they're excited. The last one I think is the most important one. Now, community. And one of the things, I'm sorry to be pontificating for so long here, but maybe I could just set the stage and then we can open up for your questions. So I wrote this book called Belonging to the Brand. It's that yellow one up there, and has a very bold subtitle, Why Community is the Last Great Marketing Strategy. A lot of people say, hey, I have an Instagram community. I have a YouTube community. You've got an audience. That's great, but that's different than a community. A community is a place where people actually know each other. It's a hub. It's a meeting place. And here is research that was in this book, and it was one of the most important and overlooked opportunities in marketing today. Here it is. When you bring people together in a special way and they create relationships, that goodwill extends to you. And if you create a real community where you become a hub and a meeting place and a gathering place, and people become friends, they're never going to leave you because they don't want to leave their community. They don't want to leave their peeps. They literally belong to the brand. Now remember, this is different than an audience, because an audience is one way. People who are following you on Instagram don't know each other, but people in a community know each other, and your customers are longing to belong. We're in a society with record levels of depression and isolation, and even self-harm and isolation. They're longing to belong. So I think the biggest opportunity, and as a small retail business, nobody can touch you on this. Open up your doors, become a community hub. Don't just do Facebook ads. Don't just do Instagram posts, but really, you've got to answer this question. Why does our store matter? And it really will matter the most, not because you got the latest edition of Batman. It's because you mean something in your community.
That was fantastic. Thank you. I want to double tap on this bit about community. I have in my research here in Belonging to the Brand, you talked about community as the last great marketing strategy, right? And so our comic shops specifically, I'd like to talk about this on the comic shops and also the small press publishers that we talk to on a weekly basis. For the comic shops, they have a weekly community that comes in and picks up comics. They develop relationships. They see people every Wednesday, every Saturday. They have this. What do you think? How do you think about the difference between just having regulars and having an actual community?
Well, first of all, I usually say this before I give any talk. I say this in all my books because I saw someone in the comments section said, how much expertise do you have in the comic business? And look, I approach this very humbly, right?
Sure.
I defer to everyone listening as a greater expert to me. I don't have a comic book shop. But what I try to do in my speeches and in my books is like, here's a map. Here's a map of the world. Here's some things maybe you didn't think about.
Yeah.
If you've been doing things a certain way for years and years and years, and maybe it's not working so well, here's some new ways to think. Now, the difference between a community and regulars is a regular is transactional. It's still transactional. What you really want to do is find some way to get the regulars to become friends with each other. And maybe it's like special events. Have a wine and cheese party at your place, or get together and have beer and watch a movie together or something. Have movie nights or something. And again, I'm not an expert in the business, but you've got to find some way to create. What is branding? If you're trying to create a brand, a brand is this. It's creating an emotional expectation between you and your customers, right? So if I say Coca-Cola is going to build a hotel in your hometown, and I said, when you open the door, what do you expect to see? What does it look like? What does it sound like? You can probably imagine something, right? That's an emotional expectation that Coke has worked on for 100 years. When people think about your shop, what do they think of? What comes to mind? Is it community? Or is it like, well, they have low prices, or they have, like you said, posters from the 90s on their walls. But the greatest way to build this emotional connection, it's not through advertising. That's the lowest way to do it. Instagram is kind of in the middle because people might feel loyal to your feed. But the greatest way to build that emotional connection is community. And most businesses completely overlook that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that one of the ways that comics shops specifically have grown has been that ability to do that. And I love hearing you say it. But I think there's a certain intentionality to it that we often miss, right? We think about ourselves just trying to grow our customer list and trying to own our customers, when in fact what we should be doing is investing in them and bringing them in and drawing them those relationships in. I do want to speak to something that's happening in the comments. You mentioned it. I think it's important to bring in experts. I personally read far and wide outside of the comics world, because if I only ever watched what's happening in the comics world, we would all be doing exactly the same things and we would never, ever grow. And so it is important for us to listen to people who come in from outside of that world, because they understand how these tools work across multiple platforms. We'll work here.
I think the thing about marketing is that it really is a very transferable skill. I mean, if you look at the basics of marketing, if you look at the basics of consumer behavior, and if you look at, here's like a brilliant example. It's like Lululemon stores. Well, that's a big chain, right? They've got lots of money for advertising. But at night or in the morning, they open up their doors and they have like yoga classes. And at night, they move stuff aside and they'll have community events in their stores. They're opening up their space, right? They're inviting people in to try to get to know each other. There's lots of examples. There's a local boutique that's bringing people in, and they're having special speakers, they're having special classes, they're having game board nights to bring people in, to get them to meet each other and become part of the store, so that store means something. And this is sort of the magic that happens. If you create meaning, then you're going to have advocates in your community who are your fans, and you create word of mouth marketing. And this is like sort of the weird thing about word of mouth marketing. We know it's the most effective marketing, period.
Right.
Period. It's the most effective advertising we would ever have. I've worked with hundreds of different companies. I've never worked with a company that had a line item on their budget that said word of mouth marketing.
Yeah.
Now, look,
right.
I mean, you, like small business owners in your community with a retail shop, that should be the epicenter of word of mouth marketing. To create something that's so interesting, so conversational, so worthy that people can't wait to share it with their friends.
Yeah.
Let's be intentional about it.
Right. Well, let's move on from the local comic shop, because again, a lot of our clients at Prana and a lot of our audience are independent publishers. We've got some in the chat here today, obviously. And known, you essentially draw out a roadmap for being recognized in your field. If you're an indie creator, right, you have zero budget, everything is going into the books, you just are trying to get in front of an audience, where do you even begin? Because many of these people start from a place of, I just want to do the work, I don't want to have to go out and find the audience. But that's really, in this day and age, has been my experience that is just not an option anymore. So where do you start?
Right. I mean, first of all, I'm glad you brought this up, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. And I think especially in this world, this AI dominant world, having an effective presence on the web is our last defense against AI, right? People are still going to want to turn to a human to learn what's real, what can we believe. And you really, as a business owner today, I really don't see that you have much of a choice to like I said, people aren't going to fall in love with your logo, but they can fall in love with you. And that's fantastic. So I wrote, as you mentioned, I wrote this book called Known. And the reason that I wrote that is because I looked at, is there a process to become known, to build a personal brand? And, this was like 10 years ago, I did this research, and the advice out there was terrible. It's like, if you can dream it, you can be it. If you can believe it, you can become it. And look, I mean, I want a process, right? If I'm going to spend my time doing this. So I did my own research. I interviewed 97 people around the world who are known in their field. And they all did the same 4 things, no exceptions. And step 1 is to be clear about what you want to be known for. Where do you fit in the information ecosystem of independent publishing or small publishing, right? And there's lots of exercises in the book to help people, but this is the one that I love the most. I use it with individuals. I use it with big brands. How do you finish this sentence? Only I, or only we. And that forces you to think through what makes us different. Why do customers love us? Where do we fit? And it sort of unleashes your marketing plan, because now you know the story to tell. Step 2 is figuring out, where do you want to tell the story? Where are your customers? How are you going to reach them? You have to fish where the fish are. Number 3 is, how are we going to tell the story? What is the content? Is it going to be on Instagram? Is it going to be on YouTube? Is it going to be a podcast? Is it going to be a show? I love the show that you guys are doing. I think it's wonderful. You're engaging your audience. You're talking about headlines and news in your industry. I think that's fantastic, right? You're a fantastic resource.
Thank you.
It's a great way to be known. So you're creating the content to tell the story. And then 4th is building that audience, that leads to community. And that's different than a social media audience, right? Social media audience is a weak relational link most of the time. If I post on whatever, LinkedIn, hey, everybody, I just wrote a new book. How many people will buy it? Very few. It's news that floats through someone's newsfeed. If I write on my blog, my audience, hey, everybody, I wrote a new book. How many people will buy my book? A lot. Because they're a subscriber. They're waiting for me to have that news. I also have a community, an online community on Discord for forward-thinking marketers. If I say, hey, everyone, I have a new book, how many people will buy it? All of them. And they'll also say, how can I help you sell it? How can I be an advocate for you? Because we're in this community. We support each other. And so that's sort of how I think this ecosystem works of building a personal brand.
Mark, I cannot thank you enough. I cannot commend your books for anybody who is thinking about marketing in this day and age. Even the ones that are, as you said, a few years old, they always resonate. There's so much in there. Thank you so much for coming by. And I'm looking forward to, I'm definitely looking forward to the Uprising next year. And you and I are going to be talking again very soon. So.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. It was such a delight having you. By the way, Adam won't say this about himself. He was a star at our event. There were only 39 people there.
Yeah. Well,
and he became a beloved member of our group. So thank you for coming.
That's awesome.
Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. Mark Schaefer, everyone, please go out and find his books, and you're gonna change your mind about many things. All right, our next guest. If you've spent any time online in the last 15 years, I pretty much guarantee you've probably run into him. Whether it was a wine review that changed the way you think about taste, a keynote clip that made you rethink your entire business, and yes, I have been there, or a new VeeFriends character you either loved or argued about. He's Gary Vee, the CEO of VaynerMedia, chairman of VaynerX, a 6-time New York Times best-selling author, and one of the loudest, most honest voices in marketing today. Friends and neighbors, Gary Vaynerchuk, welcome to the show, my friend. It is so good to see you.
It's good to see you, Adam. Thank you so much. Brian, great to see you. Great to see everybody in the chat. Enjoy the chat always. And so lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks. You've, I mean, obviously you're a legend in marketing. Obviously you think about how to grow businesses. You grew everything out of your dad's small, brick and mortar retail. If you are thinking about a brick and mortar retailer in this day and age, knowing how, overextended your dad and your family were in trying to run it, right? If you're thinking about them in this day and age, what are the practical things that they should be doing in order to even begin to think about that kind of growth?
Are we going through the lens of comic book physical stores?
Yeah, I would like to. That's primary. Our primary audience are the brick and mortar, direct market stores, and small press publishers.
Creators and publishers.
Yeah, understood. So I think for the brick and mortar retail stores, this is an incredible era. I think the rise of analog is here, men. People want to go to the store. We're pushing back against AI. We're getting tired of the phone every second. And so if I'm a comic book store owner, which weirdly I wish I was, I'm making an extraordinary amount of content. I'm doing live shopping from my store. I'm doing giveaways. I'm producing an extraordinary amount of social media content. I'm posting it across many different platforms. I'm taking the content that resonated when I went deep into the depths of why Punisher and Ghost Rider's popularity of the 90s is going to reboot now, and here's why. And if it, God forbid, meaning God willing, it does well, I'm then and this is very important, everyone, I'm then taking that piece of content that did well organically, and let's say got 10,000 views when I'm accustomed to getting 1,000, and I'm then taking that piece of content and running a 10-mile radius ad on Meta and TikTok for $100. And everybody on this call will be stunned how much foot traffic that brings.
I love how actionable that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think what has always kind of separated me in marketing is I'm a practitioner, right? I run actual businesses. I have the liquor store. VeeFriends is I am selling comic books right now. I try to go actionable on these calls because we don't have a lot of time, and theories are great, and I love theories, and I put out a lot of content around theory. But I know that if I'm a comic book store watching right now, I'm desperate, me personally, Gary, to bring them value right now. And the answer is content. The answer is to post it organically on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Twitter, Facebook. And the answer is to watch if it does well organically. And if it does, then you make it local. So you might do a whole rant on why the Absolute series is underrated, not overrated. That does. Then you can slightly tweak it and take back that image, tweak it in Adobe or whatever you're using, CapCut, and add a first 100 people that come to the store and say Absolute Batman, get XYZ, or 25% off all back issues this weekend because I like the OG stories more than the new stories. If you're just an actual operator of a store and a salesperson, but you put out quality content, but you add a layer and then you run that media, $50 to $100 in media to amplify that content on a 5 to 10 mile radius of your store. Now you're not hitting someone in Des Moines when your store is actually in New York City. Now you're hitting actual people that might be into comic culture that you haven't gotten before. That is the absolute blueprint for everyone here.
So you are a boots on the ground guy. You've been, like I said, you've run retail. You now understand marketing as well as anybody in the world. How much of your day would you be spending doing that kind of content to find those pieces that resonate?
I mean, for this crew, as much as possible. This is what's so fun about owning a comic store. I mean, I owned and continue to own a liquor store, we all know that there's dead periods. Like Tuesday at 11 a.m. is not packed in the store.
That's true. That's very true.
What else is cool about comics, similar to wine, and why I love VeeFriends so much? It's more fun. Everyone on this call right now, Mad Profit Comics, wants to talk about why the Incredible Hulk is XYZ, or why, be careful of overproduction, because let me tell you the story of Valiant Comics in the 90s, or why Doc Ock is the underrated villain in the Spider-Man universe. Like, we all on this call love this crap.
Oh, 100%. We're going to talk about it anyway. Turning on a camera. I mean, I think the biggest barrier for me was just knowing that I have to talk and get past that, hatred of my own voice, my own face. Whatever, right?
This is the whole punchline. We have to get out of high school. People are not, they don't hate their voice. They hate when someone makes fun of them.
Yeah.
Let's get to the crux right now. If you agree with me, everyone, just say I agree in the chat right now. Like, if we can get out of high school, and by the way, we should all be able to deal with this because we were all nerds and like this stuff. We were used to getting hate on. Now the nerds have won, Revenge of the Nerds, and like, people need to make content. It is when I read in here, as a shop, we are at a point break even without paying ourselves. Everything will change for everyone on this call if they start making social media content. Now, listen, the fine gentleman, Mark, right before us, he's right. Social media followers are a lower conversion than, let's say, first-party email list. But there's the upside of you posting something very nerdy. And that's, again, what I rely on with everyone here. Like, a lot of people here really can go very deep on why Iceman is underrated, right? And so in that, you never know when you're going to make a 500,000 viewed video out of nowhere on something that seems mundane because you took a good hot take on something that is going on in the industry right now, which leads to a high propensity ad to drive more foot traffic into your store. And I would tell everybody else the other thing, everybody here, please listen to me. Live social shopping, TikTok shop, whatnot. It is a big deal. I don't care what your emotional feelings are about it. For example, Adam, Brian, a lot of people here will not do live shopping because they have a store and they're paying rent.
Right.
And they have this ideological point of view of like, well, that sucks. Other people don't even have the store overhead. They're so lucky. So they'll cut their nose to spite their face. Your best advantage is you have a store because you have an incredible studio. Look at Brian's background right now. That's more visually pleasing. Every comic store I walk into is the best studio in the world, better than any fake studio.
Yeah, very, very true.
Absolutely.
Very true. And they have all of that inventory that they already know how to pitch, right? It's sitting right there.
I think one of the things a lot of people are worried about is that they're going to suck in the beginning. But my advice is always, you're going to suck in the beginning. And you can either suck today and get better over time, or you can suck tomorrow and get better over time. The difference is time. You just lost 6 months. Start it now.
Everybody's first kiss on this call sucked. Everybody's first time having sex, not good. Everybody's riding a bike, they skinned their knees. Everybody's first time swimming, they would have drowned if their parents weren't there. We suck at everything at first.
That's very, very true. All right. You are a first-time, I'm going to use that to transition. You're a first-time comics publisher, and you're already really, in many ways, changing a lot about how our game works. As somebody who does a lot of consulting with publishers, I've worked with you guys. It's been an amazing experience. I will say that you guys are really doing, in many ways, a masterclass on some things. And I'm going to bring one to the stage. Brian, if you don't mind clicking through. This is a post that you guys did about the incredible artist that is Jeff Darrow. You guys, he's doing a cover for you. You want to click through this? One, this is extreme violence warning. I love it already. But what you've done with this post and these slides is you are like celebrating this artist before you even get to your brand at the end, which I think is just, it's really ballsy, because a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to like focus, show my brand. But like, this is one of the most iconic images ever that Jeff did. Yeah. And you guys are really focusing in on this crew. It's incredible to watch.
You have the luxury of knowing something that a lot of people here that are watching don't know, which is, who I am when the camera's not on.
I do. Yeah.
And so, through the relationship with DJ and Jim Rugg, and I think a lot of people here, when they saw DJ, Jim Rugg, some of the artists we're getting, I think, I'm empathetic that I'm a businessman. I know that most people here don't know how deep I go with, action figure and comic culture. I know that nobody watching here knows that nobody here knows that I have 100 Mego action figures from the 70s. Nobody here knows that I have, Kenner Superpowers and Secret Wars action figures in a warehouse in their prized possession. No one knows that I bought 500 copies of Bloodshot #2 that are all in my attic because they're worth a penny because I got this Valiant too. So, what is my humanity behind the scenes. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to support artists. I'm a good businessman. I'm a good entrepreneur. I know how to win without doing the wrong thing. When you're talented, you don't have to do wrong by people to make a buck. You're so talented, you know how to make a buck without anyone. So for me at this point in my career, I really desperately want to help elevate all the artists that are working with us.
Yes.
As you know, we're creating net new comic book collectors. That is very unusual.
Yes.
Taking my 50 million social media followers, I'm sure, because I know how much you pay attention. There's tweets and messages on some of these posts where people are like, I never collected comics before. Somebody called me, somebody emailed me yesterday that they bought every Absolute series comic, and literally 3 months ago, they never bought a comic in their life.
That's amazing.
So,
come on.
For me, I want to be an additive to this world. And normally when businessmen or women come into this world that are not part of this world, the reason you all and everybody watching rightfully is cynical is because they're extractors.
Ooh,
and so I wanted to be a contributor, which is why we've been going nice. And by the way, you probably know this about me now that you really got to know me. I could be way louder.
Oh yeah. We're
going much slower than, even DJ, DJ will tell you, I'm going slower than he wants. He's like, this. I'm like, hey.
You were going slower than I wanted when I was working with you guys. I'm like, let's go.
Because I want to earn our keep. We want to do proper stuff. We want to, I hope, and I know you're close enough to it, I hope anyone here that digs under the hood and reads the stories, these are real stories. We are trying to build a real universe. It is my singular goal to build the next true universe, Looney Tunes, Pokemon, Marvel, DC, whatever you want to call it. We have 250 characters, so it's a substantial universe. And we're in our golden era, first appearances, origin stories, and they're good stuff. I'm proud of it.
As you should be. You absolutely should be. I know we have a very limited amount of your time, and I do appreciate you coming on. Do you have, if you had if you have one rant about how you've been watching how comics works now for a little while, you've seen other publishers and how they handle marketing and how they handle their audience, what is something that if you would change?
I got it. I did this in the wine business and I'm going to do it in comics. Let me tell you about the wine business and the comic business, why they're the same. In the wine world, the more you know about wine, the more likely you were to impose your knowledge to keep people out of the universe instead of bringing them in. And what I did in wine with Wine Library TV all those years back was I brought people in by being welcoming and educating. And that's what I think everyone here should do more of. When people come into the store or when a publisher's marketing, I understand being true to the inner circle, but we must be more receptive to the people that are looking to put their toe in the water instead of shitting on them when they don't know first appearance, what issue it was, or the origin story.
Hallelujah. Amen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hallelujah.
This is an incredible world of such great people. More people want to be in, but they don't want to be scolded for their lack of knowledge. They're looking for warmth of onboarding them into the universe. All of us in this industry can do more.
Amen. Friends and neighbors, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Gary, I'm sorry to interrupt. So one of my favorite thing is when comic book store, I have comic book store friends, they get mad that people come in buying a comic after the movie came out, as if that's a bad thing.
No.
As if that's a bad thing.
I know. We go through periods where we have to root some people out who want to talk about fake fans and whatever. We've gone through.
By the way, I'm leave with this. I get it. I'm a diehard Jets fan. I can name the entire offensive line now. When someone says they're a Jets fan, I'm like, "What's the offensive line?" So I get it. I'm not trying to create more jet fans, right?
Yeah.
Like in that scenario, that's not my goal. We can't talk out of both sides of our mouth. We can't say that we want more comic readers and then make people feel lesser than when they come into the stores looking to explore. And that's important.
Amen.
Awesome. You guys, good luck.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much, Gary.
That
was awesome.
Whew, I'm fired up. I'm ready to run through a wall.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
great.
What two amazing legends. And thank you guys so much for coming on. It's just an impressive what they've already done in our world, what we're capable of doing if we're listening to the people who understand. I'm just I'm ready to go.
I got to tell you, Adam, I'm feeling pretty excited about our wrap-up slides because I think I nailed all this stuff accidentally.
That's right.
As they're saying, I was like, checkbox. Oh my gosh! For those of you who are looking for tactics, we're actually going to go through some tactics towards the end of this. But first, we got some exciting, quick cuts to go through.
Brian, I don't know if you know this about what comics retailers have to go through every week. I know this is probably news to you, right?
Yeah.
Is that every week comics retailers have to go through and they make decisions about all the things that are happening in their shop in the coming weeks.
Yep.
And each and every one of those line items that they have to make a decision on has a story behind it. And
truth.
And then many times those stories are really, really important. And I think we have one this week, but don't take my word for it.
Hi, I'm Joe Keating. I'm editor-in-chief of Comics the Magazine about comic books. Here to talk about Comics the Magazine number 5, which is our cover feature on Mark Spears from Monsters. Easily one of the longest print interviews I've ever seen with Mark Spears. We get really in depth on like what it actually is like to be an artist and living that life and making something that reverberates through the industry. Also, look, there's just a lot of comic books out there. Internet's full of noise. Log off, touch grass, and read this magazine. It'll tell you what's up. Just go. Like, we got you covered. We got picks. We've got some secret interviews we're not talking about yet. We've got some other features. Just read this every month. We'll help you figure out what to read. So, Excelsior.
That's amazing. I love it. That was the best. Oh, that's so great.
When you're
he
watching
Excelsior us.
God damn, man. Go for it, buddy. That was it. All right. Touch grass. Comics the Magazine number 5. Gary V Friends has been a real supporter of this. I will tell you, he's really done an incredible job over there and supporting us. And the book is really fantastic. New issues out next week, so you're gonna have that before you have to make a decision on number 5. And Joe's not here anymore, so he can't stop me from saying that there might be a good reason for you to order bundles.
Oh, good reason to order bundles. Hey, look at this. I've been placing comic books in little free libraries around town. Of course, I screen them, make sure that no nudity, not too much graphic panels. Sometimes I toss in a business card. May I suggest Comics the Magazine in those little free libraries? Now that I think about it, I'm going to dump some in some little free libraries this week.
Zarabia, I'm actually irritated. I have not thought of that. So to that end, I want you to drop me a line. Tell me who you are. Make sure that you use your quote there. And we're going to send you a big bundle of number 2s so that you can do that. I have a bunch of number 2s of this Comics Magazine, but you can put them in all the free libraries you want.
Buddy,
right?
I got bad news.
What's up?
He is
here. God damn it.
Bad news.
Sorry, Joe.
Yes.
Sorry.
New issue number 4 of Comics the Magazine is on shelves tomorrow. So don't miss it.
Okay. Good deal.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's go, man. Now this is a high energy show. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Let's take a moment here before we get into Brian. Brian, by the way, has an incredible thing. It's an incredibly tactical way of looking at everything that we've just absorbed. But before we get into that, I want to say happy birthday to somebody who's very important to us here at the show at CII and at CII Live, Comics the Magazine. Rob Guillory, it's his birthday. He is also he with John Layman are doing Chew in the pages of Comics Magazine every week. And if you really want to take care of Rob, may I suggest that you go to the next slide. And
oh yes, absolutely.
go to this new Kickstarter, sign up for the pre-launch. It's launching soon on Kickstarter. Ghost Brawler. This is a really fun book that he and John and Rob are doing. Can I say I feel a little proud of this one? They got back together to do Chew in Comics the Magazine, and as a result of it, came up with this idea. So in many ways, Comics the Magazine made this book, and Prana is helping them out with this campaign. I should say they're awesome. Our client, so please do sign up. Scan the QR code. Go check it out. Awesome, Brian.
Excellent work. So we have talked to two marketing experts today, and one of the not so friendly members of our chat kept on saying tactics, and I just wanted to say, yeah, we're gonna do tactics. It's just not the time to do tactics right now. We're listening, and when you go to a university course, you often listen to a speaker, and then afterwards, in the actual class, you apply what you learned. So now is the application part of our program.
Is that why there's not usually a chat in university?
That's why there's not usually a chat. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like I wanted to make sure, that we have some tactics we can take out of it. So let's talk first of all about in-store community, and comic shops is the third place. And I know this has been something we've talked about quite a bit on your regular show. You talk about comics, and the comic shop is the third place. Places like Cloud9, where they've definitely become, a key part of communities, and they're revitalizing malls and making malls anchor shops. Places like Books with Pictures, not Books with Pictures. In Baltimore, there is Dreamers and Make Believers, which has done an amazing job of becoming like a safe queer space for comics fans. And I think that's something a lot of people kind of forget, is like the comic shop used to be a sanctuary. It was the place where, when I was like a nerdy 16-year-old kid, I could go and be a nerd and not worry about, also being on the track team and not being able to say that my favorite superhero is Nightwing, that kind of stuff. So it's always been that place, and really leaning into that is super, super important. People need that kind of thing. And so one of the things that Gary mentioned, like gatekeeping, right? Like training your staff not to gatekeep, and sometimes even training them that they don't even realize they're gatekeeping, right? Like I think about when I was a 16-year-old in a comic shop, and the number of times that I was like, oh, you're reading G.I. Joe? Ugh, everybody knows Dark Knight is the way to go, right? Like, didn't even realize that I was being a dick back then, because you're 16 and you don't know.
You're just trying to show how smart you are. And I would say that we talk a lot about this, but apparently in the chat, they're proving that we still need to repeat it. Comic shops being a third place is part of the reason that they've done so well. Right. As all of the other brick and mortar stores in our world have really diminished, comic shops, the store count has not changed plus or minus 4% in the last 20, 25 years, except for the last 2 years where it's gone up 10 to 15%. Yeah. So, yes.
Also using those places as is a third place, and using them as recurring event places like D&D, Magic, board games, that kind of stuff. That isn't only just going to make your place a community hub, it's also a revenue driver, because you can sell cards during those Magic things, and it actually gives you the necessary collateral you need in order to get more stuff from publishers and distributors who are encouraging this kind of stuff. So yeah, make sure that you are embracing the community-ness of comic stores. I know sometimes you don't want that dude hanging around, but that dude also is kind of as important to the shop as you are.
That's very true. Also,
extending your shop virtually is super important, because not everyone is comfortable in person the same way they're comfortable online, especially like Gen Z, who is so comfortable with things like Discord. And my recommendation is to find a Gen Z to build your Discord, or a millennial. The younger millennials also know how to do this. Have them build it, have them create all the rules and everything around it. And you'll find that like these communities are super thriving and super valuable. And then you can use it to cross promote things with things like what came in this week and encouraging reviews there in your Discord. Exclusive early announcements and restock alerts that you only show up in Discord or that you show first in Discord. Super, super important. And that kind of thing kind of extends your reach outside of the store and also works when your store isn't running.
If you want a good example of an online community that is incredibly dynamic, that is focused around a store, can I recommend good friends of the show, Stronghold Collectibles? They have a fantastic Discord that they use to do live selling. They talk about the big events. They really do a great job of building community inside of there. So go check them out.
FOMO. So this is a debate that comes around all the time about speculators versus collectors versus regular customers, right? And your kind of stance on this, and I totally agree with that. I'm not calling you out. I don't think you're evil for it. But your stance is that speculators are a sign of a healthy market. If you don't have speculators, it means you have no interest in your product, and you don't probably have a very healthy market. So the fact that we're hitting another period of speculation is just an indication that there's buzz around our stuff, that people are interested in it, and there's people that see a way to make a quick buck. Now, we're talking $20, $50. This isn't the 90s when you were flipping a case of X-Men for a couple $100. Like, this is, I got an extra 2 copies of Cyclops that went from $3.99 to $19.99. Like, okay. Like, congratulations. I don't know why people get so upset about this. And I do understand the whole, if I sell out of number 1, I won't sell as many number 2s. But these publishers are throwing out second printing so quickly right now that if you do sell out of the first printing of Nectar, you're going to be able to get a second printing. And then that's going to translate to second and third and fourth issues. So, don't worry so much about that. I think letting your customers know about what's hot and like encouraging that buzz. One, if you're doing it on something like Discord, you're going to actually get feedback and people will start to tell you what's hot before you even know.
Yeah.
But also, like, that is a way of getting that information out into the channels. Spotlighting key issues, letting people know that a new character is being launched. Like the Ultimate Reborn that just came out, they dropped like 5 new characters in that issue, and nobody's going to figure it out for 3 months. But when they do, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that was the first appearance of insert name of hot character here, right? Like, having that information out there is important.
Also, I want to say, as a both for the on the publishing side, anything you can do to get to know and get involved in that sort of FOMO community, that collectibles flipping community. They're still comics fans, right? They still love comics. Get to know them, because you're going to learn which podcast to go on. You're going to learn like who to send free copies to. That stuff really makes a big difference. I have been involved in a couple of different publishers where we've used that strategy, and it has helped tremendously. And from a retailer standpoint, FOMO is also your friend. I started as a flipper. It was 35 years ago, 40 years ago at this point, but I started that way. We all start somewhere, and whatever it takes to get them in the comic shop the first time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've told my secret origin of driving from London to Michigan with comics, and then coming back with comics I couldn't get in London from Michigan and flipping those. Like, I paid for my motorcycle with that kind of stuff.
There you go. You got
it. This is a big one, and we didn't even talk about websites, because to me at this point, website is a table stakes. Like, if you don't have a website in 2026 that people can't buy products off of, I'm not sure that you will live to 2030 as an organization. But low stock and last copy signaling, in store and online, you could have like last copy little things that say, this is our last 5 copies of this. Definitely helps to promote that FOMO.
Absolutely.
Demand generation. So this is a big one, and I actually have a story from this week that I can give, but I'm probably not going to. I'm going to save it for next week. But being able to create demand when you need it is super important in January, February. if you've lived through a January and February, you know what I mean. Building that email audience when you don't think you need it is essential for when you need it, which is why, with the industry being as hot as it is right now, this is the time you should be focusing most on marketing fundamentals. This is the time you should be building the email audience. This is the time you should be building your Instagram and all that other stuff, because things are so hot that you're not dependent on it. But when you need it, it'll already be there. So think of it as scaffolding the thing that you're going to need in the future. In my opinion, email is your primary communication vehicle, and then your secondary should be like a newsletter, physical newsletter, and social media. And your email is a channel that you own, which is actually also a tangible asset for your business. When somebody is buying your business, one of the metrics they're going to have is how many email subscribers do you have, because you can actually use that to turn it into money. I have a counter on my wall that shows me stuff, and overnight I made $603 off of one email that I send out at 11 o'clock, and by 2 o'clock in the morning it was halfway there. So just imagine being able to turn on a tap and get $600 when you want to.
I would say the two things I want to add. All publish. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off. If you want to finish.
No, go.
All publishers should be paying attention to this. Publishers and retailers both. Gary talked a lot about social media, right? And how it is an incredibly important part of your day, because it's how you can advertise for free and then decide which ads are going to be the ones that drive people to you. But I should note that you're living on someone else's land, right? When you communicate through social media, you are essentially at best you're a sharecropper. So keep that in mind. Meta just a few weeks ago announced that they're going to have to start charging for some of the things that have been free up until now. So this is going to continue to get weirder and weirder on social media, but email will always be the way that you can communicate. It's also the way that you can find your audiences online social media. You can build ad campaigns around your email list. That's both for retailers and for publishers. If you are at a convention and you're not doing some sort of email gathering, you are wasting your money. That's
absolutely. When you talk about like Meta and all these social media companies, I have a managed comics group on Facebook, and that group, sometimes people will submit tickets, and I ask them, don't submit health tickets to the group, because sometimes Meta does not show me notifications about my own group that I run. Right? Like, that's ridiculous. So yeah, you can't guarantee it.
Shouldn't that be a Discord there, Brian?
Well, I'm close. I'm not cool enough to do Discord, Adam. And then finally, and both Mark and Gary talked about this, your store brand. So your store is who you are, and that matters as much or more than what you sell. Your community focus, how you treat your customers, your shop's personality, that's what turns your buyer into somebody that calls it their store. And as you've talked about a number of times, when a comic store disappears from the landscape, often those customers go to the wind.
Absolutely.
Right? So like, it's super vital that you're not the store that everyone wants to leave, because that is, So one of the tactics is to define what you stand for. Like, we used to call it the mission and vision statement. Define what you stand for in a sentence and make that the focus of every channel that you communicate. So whenever you're communicating, so for example, I'll just give you my own. I've always said that my North Star, and the reason that Managed Comics exists, is to make sure that there are comic stores for my kids to take their kids to. That's it. So if you think about that from a big picture, every single thing I do, I always weigh it under the lens of, is this good for comic stores, and will this enable comic stores to exist when my kids have kids? So you need something simple like that. It doesn't have to be super, convoluted. And then just being consistent about that, like making sure that your employees are trained on this is what we stand for, this is what we believe in. Showcase your staff's personalities. So you need to have like staff picks and things like that, because people buy things off of people, not off of store logos.
Very true.
And then curate your shop's like your stuff to reflect that identity. There you go. I love the last one, telling your secret origin, by the way, because every one of us has a weird reason why we do what we do. And hearing those is what makes you a person and not a brand.
I'll tell you, it wasn't until I came up with, I realized it was one of those things that happens to me early in the mornings often when I wake up. I woke up with the understanding that Prana was really about two things. It was about the fact that comic shops are a resource that deserves to be defended and supported, and that the only barrier to the entry on their shelves should be the quality of the work. Everything else falls away. Right.
So I'm going to throw my obligatory plug in here. If this stuff interests you, but you're not quite sure how to execute on the marketing things, we actually just launched a website called Panel Forge. It's panelforge.co. I think Craig is going to drop it into the chat here. If you go to that, there's a contact us. You can contact us and we can talk about, figuring out how to help you move that next step.
Nice done. Awesome.
Yeah.
Another good way to get that next step, classified ads. I'm the king of segue today, kids. Comics the Magazine goes out to about anywhere from 40,000 to 100,000 people each month. Goes out to comics fans in comic shops. You know what it costs to get in front of them, Brian? You know what it costs?
$20 American dollars.
$20 American. That's right. 20 freedom dollars gets you into the classified ads of the best-selling magazine about comics. And let me tell you, Joe had to jump and talk to somebody in the next issue. You want to be in that issue. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a fun
there you
issue.
go.
Yeah.
I personally am investing my own dollars. I know that I'm a partner, but I also have to pay. I'm buying 3 ads this week. Why? Because it's the best value in comics for marketing.
You got 3 going in? I just redid mine because I want a new one.
Oh, yay. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just a no-brainer. It's so simple. Why wouldn't I? Yeah, anyway.
Absolutely.
Reach out to classifieds at comicsthemagazine.com and we'll get you in the next one. So there you go. Oh, boy. You know what? Somebody in the green room has been incredibly patient.
He's super patient.
This show is going real long because, you know what? It was just too stacked. There was nothing that I could have trimmed out. We only did 2 headlines, too. The Prana bestseller list is a project we've been working on for several years now. We partner with 2 different partners from POS system partners. That's point of sale, the computer system that works in the comic book shop. 2 different partners, Managed Comics and Comic Shop Assistant. One of the owners of Managed Comics is right there. For the next slide, you can see that means that we are working with over 600 stores in various markets across the globe. 80,000 plus consumers. I think it's actually higher than this now. We got to take another look at this data. So that means that this data is, it ends up being more accurate because it's really hard for any one person or any one shop to change it. So if your shop does really, really well with, some weird zine that I can't come up with right this second, it's not going to skew the results. As a result, we are able to talk about who are the winners, who are the losers from a week-to-week basis. And our favorite person for having on the show to do that is Sean from the Comics Pals, who I swear to God, I don't know his last name. But welcome to the show again, Sean.
It's the Comics Pals.
I knew it's,
Sean Comics Pals.
I assumed it would be different. And your middle initial is just that line break thing. Right?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, you mentioned me being patient. Quite frankly, I forgot I was on a show because I was listening so intently. This was the best episode you guys have ever done.
This is my favorite one. Yeah,
so informative. Gary was just an incredible guest. Mark was unbelievable. Brian dropping knowledge bombs. This has just been such an amazing episode. and I gotta get in Comics the Magazine. I gotta get an ad in that.
$20. $20.
Gonna have.
He even charges me, so you're not getting a discount. Don't even
I
ask.
charge myself.
It's gonna happen. What I'm saying, it's gonna have to happen.
It really does. Tell us about last week in comics. Like, what were there was a big week, right?
It was, and I think the really big headline is just looking at that market share.
Yeah. Well, let's look at it.
Yeah. So
My God.
Yeah.
And DC Comics 43 and almost a half. Marvel 28.5. What happened, Marvel? Image, actually, this is the highest I remember their percentage being in a long time.
Yep.
18.7%. Good on you.
But they also ate out of Marvel. Like DC is 41 to 43 most weeks, and they and Marvel kind of share. But Image ate out of Marvel a nice chunk there, 5% or so.
Bite out of that Marvel butt. IDW, Dynamite, Boom. We're seeing these players a lot. Dark Horse still coming in strong despite all the turmoil. Titan Comics, they are really strong. And in the bottom two, this is always up for grabs, kind of these two, Mad Cave and Keen Spots. Once again, because our buddy Mark
Monsters. Yep.
There you go. 100%. What do you think about this layout? What is the story telling you, Sean?
So I think that you can't tell the story of the market share this week without looking at the top 10, because there is something unbelievable to me about this top 10. And it's not just the fact that the top 3 are DC Comics. It's not even just the fact that Batman 163, which is objectively a pretty rough book, is number 1. It's the fact that Absolute Green Arrow, which didn't even come out this week, is number 3. It beat Marvel's biggest bomb this week, which is Doom Quest number 1. How did DC's last salvo from last week trump Doom Quest?
No.
What happened?
Listen, if you're left at Marvel, man, I feel for you. I know that you probably lost some buddies in that last culling. You're gonna be dealing with some turmoil, but man, this has got to sting.
Dude, the second issue of Zatanna beat the final issue of Ultimates that is key to winding down the Ultimates universe. Like, this is a weird world we're living in right now.
Absolute Green Arrow did not come out this week.
Yeah, second week. I
How
know.
could that beat Ultimates 24? What happened here?
I know.
And then let's talk about the Image portion of this, right? Because Exquisite Corpses number 13 outdid X-Men. And it also outdid Justice League, sure. But X-Men is a flagship title for a line of comics that Marvel really, really wants you to buy.
Oh.
Yeah, 100%.
This is such a weird timeline that we're living in.
If we can just talk for a minute about Superman number 38. Superman is like... So you guys you may not know that right now in the Superman comic, like, Superman is gone. And so Superboy Prime has taken over. And this book is just getting better every month. And our numbers are going up every month. And seeing this, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, this is a book that has just risen. So yeah, this is I also think that the fact that Absolute Wonder Woman is so close to Batman 163, which had so much marketing done for it, is super cool.
Yeah.
The 20th issue of a Wonder Woman title.
Yeah, I think it says a whole lot about what is happening in comic shops right now. That is just it's completely changed how we think about how those shops themselves work. Right? Is that they just are, it's everything is up for grabs. But it's up for grabs if you're doing quality and if you're getting people excited. I mean, Exquisite Corpses being on this list at number 13 says that, people will get excited about a title. But if you do things like they have that massive Kickstarter that's going on right now where they're pushing on the new game, which, by the way, the fact that they created that comic knowing what that game was going to look like and integrated it into the comic itself, just masterclass marketing. I think it just says a lot about where we are right now, that you can, I mean, even if you are not in a big two, you can really have a place, right, inside of the comic shops.
Absolutely.
So what were the big surprises for you, Sean? Because I'll admit, normally I go through that top 400 list and I look for, who are the big winners and losers. I didn't get a chance to do that this week. So I'm curious to know what you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a few interesting storylines here. So going back to that Image piece that we talked about, their market share, Corpse Knight number 2, 16th in sales. That's a very, very good number. We are sort of outside that speculator boom period, I think. Corpse Knight was one of those waning day books of that era. But for the second issue to do this well, that says to me that there was value in that first one. And when I say value, I mean story value.
Right.
The other thing I'm seeing is DC managing to continue to sell a pretty decent number of that crossover book. DC Marvel Superman Spider-Man was 22nd in sales, and JLA Avengers number 1, the facsimile edition, was 15th in sales. I picked it up.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, that facsimile I think is something people are sleeping on too, because it is, I mean, you just don't find it. Like, it doesn't, if you want to find the originals, they're ridiculously expensive. The last trade is going for $120. So there's an ability to pick something up for like $7 and get the first of 4 parts. And the 3rd and 4th issues are going to have Alex Ross covers, which are going to sell like hotcakes.
Well, this one had a special cover too. This one had the I'm blanking.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful cover, and that's the one I picked up.
Issue 2 is going to have a Dan Mora cover.
Right. Yes.
Issue 1 had. Oh, it was Ryan Stegman. Yeah. Ryan Stegman cover,
and it's an amazing cover. So
it's gorgeous.
I think they did a great job with this facsimile initiative, and we see in the numbers here that people are picking this up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look at that cover.
Oh yeah, dude.
So
there you go.
Fun. Yeah.
I finally got up the top 400. Keen Spot came in at number 10 because Mark Spears Monsters sold an average of 5 copies of number 10. Then Titan, Conan the Barbarian, still moving about 5 copies for each store, which I think
Conan is one of our Conan is one of our better sellers every month. Like, guaranteed, we sell 15, 16 copies of that every single month.
Incredible. I will say that, like, especially when you start looking at the top 25 or so for Image, you begin to see things like, as you mentioned, Corpse Knight and Void Rivals, Invincible Universe Capes, Universal Monsters Phantom. They have a nice broad base, right? Fireborn number 2. Who thought that's going to be in the top 50? Sure. Right? That's been around for a minute. So it's been I think Image is the big winner of the week, even though DC is trouncing everybody. Yeah.
I gotta say, so I think I've mentioned this a couple times, and Marvel, I know you're listening to this because you always listen to our shows because they're so great, so much insight. But Marvel, you got rid of Avengers. That accounted for about 40 subscriptions a month. You got rid of now Ultimate Spider-Man, which was like our second best-selling Marvel book. You got rid of the Ultimates now. You've gotten rid of Ultimate X-Men. You've gotten rid of Ultimate Black Panther. Like, all these things are accounting for literally 200 to 300 units of comics that we would sell every month that have just evaporated. Nothing took that away. It's gone. So you want to know why that number is going down every month? It's because we've lost core things that you just haven't replaced with anything. So I hope Midnight X-Men does something, but that will account for one of the like 10 things you took away from us in the last few months. So yeah, our Marvel numbers have never been this low. It's like, even looking back at what Pete, my former partner, had, I've never seen numbers like this. It's bizarre.
you I think it just goes to how strong the market is that we've seen. Well, we're reporting 16% growth in the first quarter, and Marvel is so weak. Right?
Yeah.
That's boy, oh boy.
That
Yeah,
was
man, if we
staggering.
had a healthy Marvel and a healthy DC,
Yeah.
like we would not have bank accounts large enough to fit all the money.
And wouldn't that be a perfectly beautiful world
I would
where
Yeah.
both the big two are thriving? When can we get that world? Because I feel like I've not lived it yet. Maybe in the 2000s.
It'll be right before everything just falls apart and the AI takes over.
Sign of the apocalypse.
I guarantee you, yeah, that'll be the moment that the global depression. We'll go well past a recession. That will be the moment of depression.
It's true.
Yes.
Betting big on Midnight X-Men, Midnight Spider-Man, Midnight Fantastic. Oh God.
Big time.
Let's
They're
hope.
gonna do it, aren't they?
Man,
And
let's
Armageddon. And Armageddon.
Yeah.
hope. All right, Sean. Any last things you saw this week?
I think we covered it. I think this was a week that there was a lot to take a look at and analyze. And I think, Brian said it best. When we're looking at these release weeks and you're not really getting excited about Marvel's books, that's because of the amount of books they've chosen to remove from the market that were the books to get excited about. So they've essentially ceded the market to DC for the summer.
That's very true. I think they're. I have to hope that there's a stepping back and getting prepared for something even bigger. But we're also saying that after the first of the year, so who knows? Let's hope. Sean, let it be ever said that you were Mark Schaefer and Gary Vaynerchuk opened for you.
Oh, there you go.
I love it. I love it, Adam. Thank you.
Comics Pals. When do people catch you?
Absolutely. So you can catch us live Thursdays at 8 p.m. reviewing comics, and then Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern talking about the industry of comics, talking about the biggest news and headlines. This past week, we talked about the DC blackout boycott that is now over. And what a shock that is.
Wasn't that a surprise that it's now over? All right. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for coming on. Well, every time you're here, I love it. Awesome. If you like this kind of thing, and why wouldn't you, man? If you're anything like me, this is the stuff you live for. You should be reading the Prana Bullet. I guarantee you, I know who you are at Marvel. I know you're opening it multiple times every week. The Prana Bullet comes out on a weekly basis. It is our attempt to give you everything you need to know about the comics industry for your business or career in comics in one tight little package at the end of your week, just so that you can go into the weekend knowing that you're caught up, including the top 400, the entire list of what sold in comic shops last week. You want to get on it? It's free. It's easy. pranadm.com or scan that QR code. Don't dodge this bullet. That's right, baby.
Most of the time when I read it, it's the first time I've actually seen that 400. Even though I provide some of the data and we talk about it here, my first time is in the bullet. I love it.
Listen, this week, the first time I looked at the 400 list is as I'm pulling it up, as we're talking about it. Comic Magazine, we put this thing out. It is our love letter to the comic book industry. It is the thing that we do to try and tell everybody about how amazing comics are. If you're a comic shop, can I just suggest that it is a 200% markup that you can put on your shelves? And it might be the best selling thing, as in selling other stuff that you ever sell. So Comics Magazine, get on our mailing list, scan that QR code, or go to comicsmagazine.com.
New issue is on sale this Wednesday. So if you're
1
a
week
fan,
from tomorrow.
get into a store.
Or is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I have one here and I just realized I haven't read it. And this is the first time I haven't read it. Like normally when we get them on Friday, I pull one out and read it like that night. And I put it on my shelf.
I have it in a box right there. I haven't even opened all the boxes. That's how tight everything is.
Dude, we are going to get in so much trouble next week. It's not even funny. I am terrified of next week's episode.
I have been looking forward to this one and just dreading it and regretting that I agreed to it all at the same time. Listen, AI is everywhere. I don't have to tell you that. You're on the internet right now watching us, which means that you probably dodged 8 stories about AI just to get here. So we're going to take it apart. We're going to do our best to do as fair an analysis of what AI is and how it's going to be affecting comics, how it's already affecting comics. What are the risks? What are the rewards? What are the assets? What are the liabilities? AI is everywhere, and we just can't ignore it anymore. And both of these things, by the way, I believe are true. AI is evil, and AI is the future.
And I think one of the things we're really going to do is like look at some parallels, because this, you know, if you've ever watched Battlestar Galactica, one of the lines there was all this has happened before and all this will happen again. You know, history rhymes.
Yes.
This is not the first time we've been through this particular loop.
Yep.
But if we take the lessons that we should have learned the last time we were in this particular loop and apply them this time, there is hope for the future. But if we are just doomed to continue making the same mistakes, we're screwed. So I look forward to talking about that.
We got to get started on this episode tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you are in the audience, I'm going to put this call out right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it a call out on socials a little bit later. If you're in the audience and you have an opinion that you'd like to come on and voice, we'd love to hear from you. We're obviously not going to be able to have everybody on, but we want to have voices that are, you know, both very anti and very pro.
I would even say that you need to be able to defend, because everybody can have an opinion, but you need to be able to defend why your opinion is valid. Because I think, you know, there's a lot of FUD, fear, what is that? Fear, unknown, and doubt out there. And there's some people on both sides who make really compelling cases for why AI is evil and why AI is the future. And they're the folks that we really want to hear.
Absolutely. We want, if you are well informed, if you have a position that is defendable, we want to hear from you, and we want you to be part of this conversation, because this is a conversation that we're going to take very seriously. And because we do in many ways feel like our audience needs to have a conversation about it, we need to be able to make some decisions that are good, best for our own businesses and our own careers. So there you go. Brian, you know, there are people in our audience, and there's some new people in our audience, a lot of new faces in our audience, that are people that are love comics. Oh, here we go. I like this, by the way, because Brian often comes into one ear. So I don't know if he's in this week because I'm not wearing headphones.
That's great.
A lot of new people in our audience, a lot of old friends in here. And I think the one thing that we can all agree is, if you've sat through the last 93 minutes plus the pre-show banter, if you sat through all of that, there's a good chance that you love comics. Brian, I'm gonna let you go, buddy. I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna talk to you, just you, the audience there. There's a good chance you love comics. There's a good chance you love comics so much that right now you're in a comic book shop. There's a good chance that you love comics so much that you have stacks of them that you still need to read, and you're filtering through them, and that you show up every week at your comic shop and you pick up your pull list. And to you, I say thank you. There's a good chance that you have a comic shop and you came in to talk to hear some of the best marketing minds that we could find talk about what it's like to create a successful business in 2026. And I want to say specifically to you, thank you. And there's a good chance that you are a publisher, and maybe you've had a whole lot of success. And if you have had a whole lot of success, the chances are good you've had even more failure. And to you, I definitely want to say thank you. And to our distributors, I want to say thank you. And to our printers, I want to say thank you. And to our digital providers, that's you, Chip, and you, Kenny, I want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to all of you, because this week, just like last week, you saved comics. Namaste, y'all.